The Italian America show is sponsored by Full Sponsorship, Cento Fine Foods, trust your family with our family. The Bianchi Law Group, Dr. K, the management professor, the authors of the #1 international best-selling cookbook, Don't Cut the Basil, Dr. Mark D'Annunzio, National 4th Vice President, Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America. The Grand Lodges from the following states: New York, Ohio, Virginia, Maryland. Long Shot Productions, get back in the game. ACMT, Excellence in Aerospace Manufacturing. Good afternoon, everyone. Joining me is one of my favorite Italian Americans, Bob Bianchi. Bob, how are you?
I'm doing great, Lisa. Thank you for that.
Well, I only speak the truth here. We have Justin Smith. He is zooming in from Washington. Justin, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
And our guest of honor is, we all know him, especially around Sons of Italy, Hollywood legend, Joe Mantegna, and he's also a dear friend of Sons of Italy. Joe, calling in from LA, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you very much, Lisa.
So how are you doing during this pandemic? I know that every plan you probably had has been thwarted.
Yeah, you know, actually, I was supposed to be in Italy right now, to tell you the truth. I was supposed to be been doing a show for 9 years called Gun Stories, where we trace historical firearms all around the world, and the history of it. And we were going to go to the Beretta factory, among places, in Brescia. And obviously that got canceled due to the current events. But you know, things will improve. I'll get back there. But otherwise, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, we're doing fairly well here in California. I feel pretty blessed that my lifestyle is not, you know, too risky. So my family and I we're doing well.
That's good. How about professionally? Because I know productions all over the country are still shut down for the moment.
Yeah. Well, as it turned out, I mean, the timing actually worked for me. I mean, in the sense that after 15 seasons of Criminal Minds, that show ended. But I have done a new show now, a pilot for Amazon. The title is still yet to be determined, but it's a wonderful show. It deals with young people actually on the autism spectrum. It's based on a show out of Israel called On the Spectrum. It's about 3 young adults who live together, and I play the father of one of them. It's created by the Jason Katims, who created Parenthood and Friday Night Lights, wonderful shows. So we'll start production on that soon, sometime soon. I mean, I know the series has been picked up. It's just a matter of, you know, when Hollywood figures the best safe and sane way for everybody to go back into production.
Well, congratulations on that. Bob, I know you have a lot of questions coming from the criminal perspective.
Yeah, mine are really from the production piece and as well as criminal. Joe, as we talked off air, I'm a national TV legal analyst and I host a legal show. And I know actually some of the folks that you worked with on Criminal Minds. I'm curious, like, to what extent in the production world are those folks helping you guys in order to produce a show? What kind of information are they giving you, and is it really valuable to you?
It's totally valuable. I mean, it's invaluable because, first of all, because we represent a real organization. I mean, there's a lot of TV shows that are about fictitious kinds of things, you know, but we are the behavior analysis unit of the FBI. There is such a unit. I've been to Quantico numerous times, in fact, initially for research. And then even on my show Gun Stories, I've gone there for that because they have obviously an incredible collection of historical firearms. But their input is really invaluable because, first of all, many of the stories that we did 325 episodes of Criminal Minds ultimately. Many of those episodes were based on real cases of the FBI. Now, some, you know, some of course were fictionalized, or some where you tweak them a little bit for the sake of television, whatever. But we were always, it was very important for us to be as honest and truthful and as respectful in the sense of what these men and women really do, because you don't want to give the impression of like, oh, well, this is what their job is like, but yet you're so far afield from that it's not really true. And so their input was invaluable because And in talking to the real FBI agents, I think they appreciated our show in the sense that we weren't like a soap opera. Some people even, they would not complain about it, but they would say, boy, your show is so gritty and so disturbing at times. And I would always defend it by saying, it has to be, because we're honoring the men and women who really do that job. And we can't sugarcoat it. In other words, this is what they have to face. So no, people say, doesn't it freak you out? I go, no, it doesn't at all, because it just gives me respect for the men and women who really have to do that.
Yeah, and Joe, as a follow-up to that, what I have found interesting, at least when I've done documentaries and things like that, is that the truth and the real way that things go on sometimes are more fascinating to me, or are more fascinating than the fictional shows that you show.
Without question.
It brings up, it's like you almost wish you could have a camera with you all the time when you're in a courtroom or when you're on a crime scene to show how it really goes down.
Yeah, without question. I even remember when I was doing research on the movie I did called Homicide, a David Mamet film in Baltimore many years ago. And I had to work with real homicide detectives in the city of Baltimore. And they brought what they basically called their murder book, which is all the photos of things. And they said, hope you're ready for this if you really want to know what our job is like. I says, no, I get it. And they showed me things and explained things to me that made me realize, yeah, there's nothing you could fictionalize that's weirder or crazier or more horrific than what these people really have to deal with. And that's why I have such tremendous respect for them, and why it was important on our show to be as truthful and as kind of as possible.
So I want to take a look at your career just from a wider lens, because as I introduced, you are a Hollywood legend. You have been constantly working for decades. How have you managed to stay so relevant in such an otherwise volatile industry?
I don't know. I mean, I think part of it may be my dear Italian mother who passed away at 101, just about less than 2 years ago. She had a great life, and she died. And she never got sick. She just basically went to sleep and didn't wake up. But I remember at her funeral, at the eulogy, my brother, who was 8 years older than I am, got up and spoke first, and he says, my brother Joey doesn't even know this. He says, but when he got his show, when he got cast on Criminal Minds, and you got to understand, at that point, I'd already been an actor for close to 40 years at that point. He says, when he got the job, my mother called him, and she said, Ronnie, I'm worried about Joey. And my brother says, why? And she says, he's only working an hour a week. And it made me understand. That's kind of what my mother's perception of show business was like. She never really quite understood what I did for a living. And in a way, I think it was good. I think it humbled me in the sense of made me feel, look, if my own mother doesn't really quite understand what I do, how can I feel like such a big shot or take this so seriously? I took my work very seriously, but I've always felt that what I do is just in conjunction with everybody else does. And when I work on a show, to me, the extras, the guy, the sound guy, the driver, the makeup girl, the costume girl, we all have the equal kind of a job, but just I'm the face of it. I'm that guy that's doing that. So all I try to do is just, in my whole career, just kind of, put it out there. I've been blessed to made a career out of what I started doing in high school and liked doing. And that's all it is. Beyond that, I don't know. Like I said, I feel just very blessed that it has worked out. But when I think any times when I start to feel a little too full of myself, I would think, hey, I remember when I won the Tony Award back in 1984, when I explained it to my mother never quite got it. And she would always tell people, yeah, my son Joey won the Oscar, but for plays. And it was like, okay, that's just as well. I think that all worked out. So my career is outside of my immediate family. I think it's been pretty good in terms of people, appreciating what I do, which is great.
It reminds me of my Italian grandmother. My grandparents are from Calabria, and because growing up I wanted to be on TV, but obviously as I came of age, everything went digital. So they don't understand why most of my work is based on the digital side of things.
Right.
So big a deal. You're on the computer. I'm like, yeah
exactly. Yeah. But I remember I was doing a series when I first started hosting the convention in Washington, D.C. about 18 years ago. I think I've been doing this. I was on a show then called First Monday, which was about the Supreme Court. And I played this Italian member of the Supreme Court, and they made his name Joseph Novelli, and I named it after my grandfather. And I made sure the character was Italian. And we did one episode that was my suggestion. I asked them to write this episode, and we shot it. It was all about me being an Italian American. And at the end of the episode, it was with James Garner and myself, and I stood on the steps of what was supposedly the Supreme Court and gave the speech about how, because some senator was trying to maybe defame my because I was Italian American, that maybe there was some, mafia connections in my background. And I give the speech on the steps about how, the whole thing about Italian Americans and about 99.9999, you're trying to use one minuscule kind of percentage to try to defame a whole, a nationality because of it. And it was just so great. And I was so grateful to have had that opportunity to shoot that episode, which kind of summed up, that whole thing. And it's why I've chosen to make so many of my characters Italian American, including the one on Criminal Minds, including the one on Joan of Arcadia, including the one in the movie I did, Woody Allen film. I made him an Italian American. Another film, State of Emergency, which they built the series ER around. I made him an Italian American. I do that on purpose to show, I'm not ashamed that I play characters like Joey Zaza on The Godfather or Fat Tony, and I said, because these are like, okay, they're characters, you play them. But on the other hand, I also want to show, then let's show that doctors, lawyers, Supreme Court judges, detectives, FBI members are also Italian Americans. Let's balance the scales, that there's no, nationalities are not descriptive about how people are, and I'm just so proud of our heritage, in particular. And
we'll be right back.
What's the secret to my famous margarita pizza? Fresh basil, fresh mozzarella, and cento.
People ask my wife, what's the secret to your bolognese?
A little of this, a pinch of that, and cento.
Grandma passed on 2 family secrets. Sauté, don't fry,
and always cook with cento.
It's no secret that the best tasting dishes use cento, San Marzano tomatoes imported from Italy, with nothing added, just authentic flavor for authentic Italian cooking. Cento, trust your family with our family.
Ne uomo della terra la montagna no passa c'è severe frocce dalla Spagna e vegate io vegate.
What's always struck me about your personality to me in the small time that I've had to speak with you is your humility, which you just addressed. And I think that that's an amazing takeaway for people. Many people of power or money or fame I've seen, and I've been in positions of high level power, have become very arrogant and disrespectful to people. So I really appreciate that. But to your point on discrimination, I have 2 things. I was at a Sons and Daughters of Italy convention in Chicago years ago. And my Irish wife was telling me, I think you Italians are crazy about discrimination and prejudice. And we were in a bar area and it was really filled. And there was a guy, I had the red, white, and green badge on, Sons of Italy. And I went up to him with my wife and I said, hey, where are you from? And he was from the Midwest somewhere. I said, let me ask you a question. How many people do you believe that are Italian American are involved in organized crime? And he kind of looks at my badge and goes, I know what you think I'm going to say, that it's 100%, but it's probably more like 99%. And he's dead serious.
Oh my God.
And to my last story with that, I'm just interested in your commentary about discrimination that Italians have gone through, which is always sotto voce, if you will, with regard to everything else going on in the world. When my father was being nominated by the governor to be the banking commissioner of New Jersey back in 1978, that's not too long ago. When the 4-way interviews were being done, that's the police checks that were being done, every Italian American was challenged by the state troopers to be told that we have reasons to believe you have connections to organized crime.
Yeah.
Later, they apologized for that, but it was a way of them trying to see how the person would respond to it. And that was only a couple of years ago, Joe. And I think it still goes on.
Yeah, it does. I mean, all I can say is that's what we do what you can do and just set a good example and all that. And it's all about education, the way I feel. I feel so many of our problems are based on that. You know, you're not going to change the minds and the ways of people who are set in their ways that are. So my feeling is focus on the kids. Make sure that they're educated right from the start, from the first day they go to school. All kids from all nationalities, all races, and everything, that to let them understand. Look, we're all in this together. This planet is only so big, and we all have our aspects to it, and we all. Every nationality, every race, everybody's contributing something, and we should just try to be positive in all the things that we do.
I have to put Joe on the spot now since we're on the food thing. This is great.
I know what you're going to ask.
I ask everybody. It's the trickiest question known to mankind. It causes lots of controversy. Joe, I want to know, gravy or sauce?
Gravy.
My man.
That's Chicago. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know how that breaks down and why it could be an age thing too. I mean, Lisa, you're a lot younger than I am. Back in the days, it was gravy, and I think the hardcore guys, it's gravy, and maybe it's starting to fade away now. I don't know. But yeah, it was always gravy.
You got to keep going.
I was raised by my Italian grandparents. I'm half Sicilian, half Calabrese. Gravy is the sauce with meat in it. But if there's no meat, it's sauce.
Lisa, once you have to start justifying it, you're losing the argument.
We never said pasta though either. It was always macaroni, right? I mean, I don't know if we know pasta was like a fancy word to us.
Yeah, macaroni.
It was always like macaroni. Who put the macaroni on? We got throw some gravy on the macaroni. That was.
Joe, are you all Sicilian or you're half?
No, I'm half Sicilian on my father's side, and I'm half Barese on my mother's side. And like I said, I'm very close to my family, especially outside Bari. My company is called Aquaviva Productions, that I've had for about 40 years now, and it's named after the town outside Bari that side of my family's from. My mother's side. The town is called Acquaviva della Fonte, just outside Bari. And I've been there numerous times, and I'm very close to my relatives there. And so they're a big part of my life. And so I'm half Barese, half Sicilian, which growing up was like a mixed marriage in some areas between my mother and my father. But I get that. I mean, I understand. They were very different personality types, but that's the whole thing. Sometimes opposites attract, and I think that worked with my parents.
Yeah, my Sicilian side, they're like a different life form.
Oh yeah. The Sicilian side on my side was very kind of, and the Barese side where like everybody thought they were Dean Martin,
No.
I was glad I got to play him eventually, which was great.
See, I would have thought you would have gotten your dramatic side from your Sicily.
Oh, I think it might be a little of both. I mean, I think there's, certainly some of the characters I've played have a lot of that Sicilian going for them.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, can I just ask just a serious question?
Yeah.
Getting to Italian pride, and I'm not asking for commentary on the politics of what's going on with Columbus and the statutes and
right.
that, but can you explain, at least in your world, what it is, why it is that the Italian Americans have looked towards Columbus as being a great person? Not the controversy going on now, but the reasons why he became emblematic of the Italian people.
Well, I mean, just the fact that, I mean, we've been taught, at least when I was a little kid, I mean, there was the story that these explorers went out. We have to give it up to the explorers, whoever they may be, whether they're Columbus, whether they were Magellan, whether they were Cabot, whether they were Lewis and Clark, whoever they may be throughout the history of our planet. There were these peoples who, in a way, it mirrors our ancestors, the ones that came over from the old country and said, I'm going to go to a new land because I just want to see what's out there. So, I mean, Columbus did that. I mean, he obviously got the Nina da Pinta, the Santa Maria, was this very Italian thing. He came here. You have Columbus. You had Amerigo Vespucci, who the countries were named after. So, I mean, this was part of the history. Now, look, if you dig deep enough, I think in any person's background, whoever it may be, you're going to find something that may say, well, you know what, he did this, he kicked his dog somewhere along the line, or did this, or he was not a great person because of that. I don't think that aspect of a person should necessarily diminish the major thing that they accomplished in their lives. Again, it goes back to education. I think as long as all that information is out there, then you make the decision, okay, do we really feel, because even look at our presidencies from now through history, if you dig into the real lives of every single one of them, you're going to find all kinds of things that you may not be necessarily proud of, but does that necessarily diminish what the accomplishments they made? So it's an interesting debate, and one that, you know, long as it's open for discussion is fine. But I don't think you can make a blanket statement of like, oh, we just found out that this guy did this, this, and this, so let's do that because of it. Let's erase. You're almost like erasing their existence, and I think that's not right.
What a beautiful, well thought out answer. Joe Mantegna for president.
I don't know about that.
Hey, you know, funny you should say that, Lisa, because I'm pretty confident in this. Let's make note that we have yet to have had an Italian-American president in this country, okay? At least anyone who identifies that way. And I find that to be extraordinary when you're listening to arguments with respect to quotas and how many people.
You're absolutely right. I've said that for the longest time. I remember even when there were times when Italian Americans got close to maybe even, and even when Barack Obama was elected, whenever I was saying to myself, I said, you know what, this is wonderful. We have an African American as president, but in a way, I thought it's probably going to be more difficult to get an Italian American as president than an African American, just because of having to fight some of those, just what we've been talking about.
We'll be right back.
It's an immense honor to be here.
I just think that this gala is such a great opportunity for kids all around the country.
And this means so much to me on an even deeper level.
You're helping a lot of young kids.
Hoorah! Thank you for this Lifetime Achievement Award.
I thank you very much, and I'm very honored.
May God bless you all.
Thank you for thinking I'm worthy of this.
We can sing in the glow of a song that I know of, where love is in joy, peace of mind.
What's the secret to my famous margarita pizza? Fresh basil, fresh mozzarella, and cento.
People ask my wife, what's the secret to your bolognese?
A little of this, a pinch of that, and cento.
Grandma passed on 2 family secrets. Saute, don't fry,
and always cook with cento.
It's no secret that the best tasting dishes use cento, San Marzano tomatoes imported from Italy, with nothing added, just authentic flavor for authentic Italian cooking. Cento, trust your family with our family.
The range of questions are pretty broad as well. We had an interesting one come through. What is your favorite character or project that you've ever been or worked on?
Yeah, that's almost impossible. I realize this is my 50th year, actually my 51st year as a professional actor, 2020. And so I've been doing this a long time. And I feel blessed to have had the career I've had, because I get it. I live a fantasy life in the sense that if you ask people across the planet, hey, what would you like to, if you could pick a job and you can be it, what would it be? And I remember there was always a saying that said the best jobs were either to be a professional athlete, to be a professional musician, or to be an astronaut, or be an actor. And the answer was an actor was the best because you could play any of the other professions, whatever it may be. And that's why I feel lucky to be able to say that. So I've played such a myriad of roles in my career. But I will say a lot of not just because, we're talking through this Italian-American organization today, but the fact that I got to play Dean Martin, who was an idol. I idolized him as a kid. I was almost afraid to take that role on, but I did a lot of research on it. And because of it, I got to be close to the Martin family, got to know, especially his daughter, Dina, who's become a dear friend. Playing Dean Martin was a big thing for me. And to play a lot of the Italian-American characters that I played in my career, like Ricky Roma, where I won a Tony Award, and Glengarry Glen Ross. To do 13 seasons of Criminal Minds playing David Rossi, another Italian-American. But there is no one, I couldn't say, oh, this is the one. Again, like I said, I've been fortunate to have a job where I've played, hundreds and hundreds of different people in my career. And every one of them has a certain memory And I've done a lot of films in Italy. I've probably done 4 or 5 films in Italy. So I've played everything from a Renaissance painter, Pontormo, to the other characters, including Godfather 3 and other movies in between.
And I saw you made an appearance during The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary.
Yeah. It's funny, being from Chicago, I did have a chance to know Michael a little bit. I actually hosted a charity fundraiser for his organization, his charity, one year when I was shooting the movie Baby's Day Out in Chicago back sometime in the 90s. And so yeah, I was even surprised myself. I remember I did that interview for them. I didn't know how they were going to use it. I didn't even know what it was going to be about. They said, "Oh, we're doing this documentary on Michael Jordan. You want telling us a story?" And I did. And of course, I got so many phone calls that day when that episode aired. It's like, "Hey man, you're on the Last Dance." I said, "Oh, okay."
I imagine that anytime you're going to be doing a performance or going out and the public is looking at you, how do you control that in your mind? And was it ever a problem for you that you had to overcome, like a lot of actors?
Well, yes, there's always a degree of nervousness, I think, in anything people do. I think the real, if I had to put it in one word in terms of dealing with nervousness, the word would be preparation. In other words, if you're about to face something and it's causing you some sort of nervousness, I think 99% of the time it's based on preparation or lack of it. So in other words, if you're about to do something, and then, I'll give you an instance. Again, talking about when I was going to shooting the movie The Godfather 3. I was about to shoot my very first scene, and I'm up there, and I'm looking, and they're about to say action. So I'm about to say my very first line in the movie. That's this iconic film. And I'm looking, and here's Al Pacino standing there. Here's Francis Ford Coppola over here. I start to feel a little bit of nervousness in me. And as I thought about it, I thought, but wait a minute. I've been acting since I was in high school. It's like, in other words, it's like the Little League. That's where I started. And then from high school, I went on to this, and then I went on to that. And I've been doing this now for, at that point, maybe 25 years. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. There's a reason I got chosen to do this. They think that I'm the guy to do this. People like Francis Ford Coppola, one of the world's greatest directors, thinks I'm the guy to play this part. What the hell am I nervous about? It's like a ball player finally getting up there, started in Little League, and now he's at bat in the majors in, let's say, Yankee Stadium or Wrigley Field. You feel nervous, but then at the next instant you say to yourself, no, you know what? I'm prepared for this. This is what I've been working toward my whole life. Let me show you what I got. And then you do it.
We can talk for hours. I mean, between you and me, Bob, we talk for hours anyway. But now we have Joe in the mix. This was so fun.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you. And we'll see everybody next week, same time, same place.
Thanks, guys.
For more related topics in this series, please visit our YouTube channel, Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America.
For more information on Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America and how to join, please visit osdia.org. Please also follow us on social media. The Italian America Show is sponsored by Full Sponsorship, Cento Fine Foods, Trust Your Family with Our Family, the Bianchi Law Group, Dr. K, the Management Professor, the authors of the #1 international best-selling cookbook, Don't Cut the Basil, Dr. Mark D'Annunzio, National 4th Vice President, Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America. The Grand Lodges from the following states: New York, Ohio, Virginia, Maryland. Long Shot Productions, Get Back in the Game. ACMT, Excellence in Aerospace Manufacturing,